This story shows a world of such a destructive future where natural disasters have become commonplace. Dozens of meters-high sea waves suddenly crash onto the shore, and the people living along the coast are engulfed by the seawater in an instant. No one could even think that in just a few years such terrible disasters would become an everyday thing. The rain of meteors falling from the sky has also now become not unusual. But the most terrifying thing is the radiation storm, that is, the radiation storm. It not only further destroys the already devastated Earth, but its intense radiation power can kill every living creature present within a range of several kilometers. Today's Earth has been riddled with every kind of disaster. The protagonist of the story, John, is somehow surviving with his family by hiding in a bunker in Iceland. Outside, earthquakes and volcanic eruptions are happening continuously. The bunker's structure has weakened and the rations are also depleting rapidly. Everyone knows that this place will not remain safe for many more days. They will have to find a new path. One day, John, as usual, wearing protective clothing, goes out in search of supplies. On the seashore, he sees some lifeboats floating, and a short distance away, a dilapidated destroyer warship also comes into view. Excitedly, he enters the ship. But inside, he only finds some burnt corpses. No one is alive. He collects the necessary supplies from there. In a diary, he finds a sample of a purple flower that has almost become extinct in this devastated world. As soon as he puts it in his pocket, his companion's warning is heard. The radiation storm is coming. Suddenly, the sky turns black. A radiation storm filled with haze and lightning rapidly advances towards him. Running, John somehow reaches the bunker. Inside the bunker, the management team is discussing the serious situation. On the surface, the rate at which the radiation is decreasing is very slow. Perhaps it will take many more years for conditions suitable for farming to develop. The sea level is also rising rapidly. Large parts of Canada and America have already sunk. Then a bespectacled climate scientist explains that in southern France, a huge crater formed by a comet's fall, due to its special structure, stops the radiation storms. That place has become a safe zone, but the problem is that reaching there is not easy because that area is war-torn. Meanwhile, John gives that purple flower to his wife Ellie. Seeing the flower after 5 years, her eyes light up. Their son Nathan is quietly watching all this. Then a terrible earthquake strikes. This time the shocks are far stronger than before. The ground begins to crack and the bunker's structures start collapsing. People panic and start running. John realizes that staying here is now impossible. He quickly packs the belongings and sets off with his family. A crowd has gathered at the main gate, so he exits through a secret passage. Coming outside, they see that another powerful earthquake has struck. Now the entire island has become unsafe. John remembers that there are lifeboats on the seashore. Perhaps those are their last hope. Many people are running in that same direction. Some have already filled the first boat with people even without protective equipment. Still, people are trying to board. John reaches the second boat with his family and somehow makes space inside. A person wearing a soldier-like uniform orders the door to be closed. Otherwise, the boat might sink. Those left behind helplessly remain standing on the shore. Then, suddenly, dozens of meters-high tsunami wave rises and sweeps away the people on the coast. The small lifeboat tosses in the sea like a leaf, but due to its strong structure, it does not break. Somehow, they survive this disaster. John checks the air quality and finds that the air above the sea is clean. Everyone removes their masks and breathes in the fresh air. But concern is clearly visible on their faces. Their home has now been destroyed. The path ahead is uncertain. Ellie remembers the discussion that took place in the meeting. First, they will have to land in England, then from there head towards France's safe area. Everyone agrees with this plan. The path is difficult, but if they succeed, then perhaps they will not have to struggle for existence again. The story moves forward from here with their uncertain but hope-filled journey. In the middle of the sea, that small boat was floating alone. In the cramped and suffocating space, John tries to keep his courage somehow. He tells his son Nathan to look towards the sky, so clear, and the beautiful star-filled sky 5 years ago was never visible like this. But even in this beauty, fear was hidden. Suddenly, a meteor is seen falling towards the Earth from one side. Who knows which unlucky place it will hit this time? In just a few days, the boat's rations are almost finished. Everyone, weak from hunger, sits huddled close to one another. Then suddenly, the boat shakes violently. John looks outside and is stunned. Only the roofs of some tall buildings are visible in the sea. He immediately recognizes that one of them is the famous building of Liverpool. The entire city had sunk into the sea. He rows the boat forward through the water paths and finally reaches the shore at a high place. They have reached England. Now they will have to go towards France on foot. John suggests that they should first gather some supplies. He takes out his radiation detector. Here, the radiation level is barely within the safe limit. They will have to take shelter inside some building as soon as possible. Then Nathan sees some living people in the distance. Following them, they reach a settlement where the survivors live. Because of enduring radiation for a long time, many people's skin has become badly damaged. A big wall stands in front and armed soldiers are not allowing anyone inside. The officer clearly says that without a pass, no one can enter the shelter. The crowd outside keeps growing and the atmosphere becomes tense. Seeing the situation worsening, the officer fires and brings down a few people standing in front. Then everyone looks towards the sky. A massive radiation storm is advancing towards them. Panic breaks out. John runs with his wife Ellie and son. Then a vehicle appears. He pleads with the driver. The driver points towards his watch, as if he wants it as payment. John agrees without thinking. At this moment, life is more valuable. The people sitting in the vehicle are also heading towards France's green safe zone. On the way, the driver stops the vehicle so that people can rest for a while. John goes into the bushes with his son. Then he feels a slight tremor in the ground. Meteors spitting fire start falling from the sky. Everyone holds onto the trees and endures the explosions. Fortunately, they are not in the direct impact zone, but when the driver tries to move the vehicle, a meteor falls straight onto it. After the blast, a sharp smell of burning spreads in the air. John collects the remaining supplies and leads the group towards London. By chance, Ellie's mother lives on the outskirts of London and is still alive. Her old-age home is equipped with an independent air purification system. If fuel keeps coming, they can stay safe there. The grandmother is extremely happy to see her daughter and grandson. They spend a peaceful night, but at midnight, Ellie hears the sound of coughing. She goes to the bathroom and sees that blood is flowing from John's nose. When pressed, John tells the truth. Because of going out for years to collect supplies, his body has been badly affected by radiation. The doctor had said that after the nosebleeds start, he has only 6 to 8 weeks left. Ellie bursts into tears and says she will not go anywhere. She just wants to stay with her husband. But John says firmly that as long as he can walk, he will take them to a safe place. The next morning, they take leave from Ellie's mother. While leaving, the mother gives John a pistol and tells him to protect the family. They start the journey again with a girl. In the beginning, everything is fine, but at night suddenly a gunshot is heard and the girl sitting behind dies. John gets out and confronts them. A robber threatens to leave the vehicle and go. John fires. One attacker falls. He is about to shoot the second when his gun runs out of bullets. Then Ellie picks up the gun lying on the ground and shoots the second robber. Neither survive. John buries the girl and they move forward. Soon they reach the English Channel. Where there used to be sea, now there is dry land and they can cross by car. Nathan finds it strange. But ahead, a huge crack blocks the path. 2 thick ropes stretch across the crack. They will have to cross with the help of these very ropes. The ropes are shaking in the strong wind. John moves forward and almost slips. Ellie closes her eyes and moves forward slowly. They reach the middle platform. Then an earthquake strikes. Some people behind fall and a ladder breaks and falls down. Somehow John's family reaches the other side. The path behind breaks. Perhaps they were the last people who crossed this crack. Moving forward, they see the burnt barren land. Then an armed man appears in front. John tells him that they are heading towards the Clark meteor crater. The man lowers his weapon and takes them to his secret hideout. There is a good arrangement for living there, but he knows that this is not a permanent solution. He wants John to take his daughter to the safe green area, while he himself will stay here with his disabled wife. In return, he gives John a photo in which the safe area near the meteor crater is shown. From here, their journey moves forward with new hope. This area is currently in the grip of war. That man explained to John that if they show that photo to the local military officer, then his friend will help John and his family to safely get them out of the war-torn area. The next morning, amid the farewell-filled gazes of that person and his disabled wife, John starts the vehicle and everyone sets off on the further journey. But now John's cough has become more serious than before. Ellie's eyes clearly show worry. She suggests stopping for a little rest. Everyone sits on the grass for a while and has light talks, as if they want to forget this terrifying world for a while. Then from afar a group of armed soldiers is seen coming. The girl walking with them immediately tells her father's identity and says that her father is a close friend of the officer here. Hearing this, the young soldier's attitude softens a bit. He warns them that moving forward is extremely dangerous. Ahead is the complete war zone, and every path is filled with landmines. That same night, the young soldier himself takes them through a secret path. This path is the necessary route to the meteor crater, but here shelling happens day and night. Amid the shower of bullets, the panting soldier tells John while running that if they move forward, they will see a camp of tents where the officer from the photo was posted. John thanks him and, taking advantage of the darkness, moves forward with the family. By morning, they reach the military camp. John eagerly inquires about the officer, but he comes to know that the officer shown in the photo has been killed in the war. Hearing this, John's heart sinks. Still, the new commander turns out to be a sensitive person who values old relationships. John narrates their entire story and requests to take his wife and child to the safe green zone. After thinking a lot, the commander agrees to help them. Finally, they all sit in a dilapidated bus. Most of the people sitting in the bus are families of soldiers. Their destination is also the same safe green area. John starts dozing on the seat due to fatigue when suddenly there is a loud explosion ahead. The bus stops. The soldiers walking in security get down. But the next moment they are killed by bullets from rebel attackers. John cannot believe that enemies could be hiding so close to the military camp. The families sitting in the bus are forcibly made to get down. John deliberately gets down last. As soon as an attacker turns to look the other way, John pounces and snatches his weapon. The rest of the people standing outside also gather courage and pounce on the rebels. Together they subdue the attackers. Then the sound of a gunshot comes from inside the bus. John opens the door and comes out. He has shot down one attacker, but he himself has also been shot. Hiding the pain, he says that he is fine. The bus moves forward again. A little later, they see green fields by the roadside. Reaching the top of the hill, Ellie supports John and helps him get down from the bus. Seeing the scene in front, surprise and happiness flash together on her face. Inside the huge meteor crater, a completely different world is settled. All around is greenery, dense trees, clean water, and an atmosphere full of life. This is the same legendary safe green area for which they have been struggling for so long. But at that very moment, John's body gives up. He falls to the ground. His illness and the bullet wound can no longer be endured. Sadly, he himself cannot see the joys of this new life. Here, this part of the story of this catastrophic journey ends.